All right, welcome back to the third and final video about my second language writing class. Let's just look at one of these poems here. This is a poem called Shadow by Lin Shujung. Okay, I'm just going to read it so you can listen and follow along. Shadow, I am a stalker, follow you to anywhere. I am a bystander, never warn your blunder. No light in here, don't fear. I am here, the dark which you wear. Even the world is a betrayer. I am here, under your tears. Okay, and I started with a poem here, um, so you can get a chance to see how some of the students work. And just looking at the technical aspects of it, she has chosen 3 stanzas, 4 lines each, which we talked about form in class. They're free form poems, but having some sort of discernible form in a poem will, of course, be pleasing to the reader. She uses end stopping, which is usually a form of punctuation that ends the line. She does not enjam them. And it has a nice rhythm and rhyme to it. Okay, as you can see with here, fear, here, where, blunder, bystander, stalker, here, tears. Okay, um, and now the meaning of it, it's very interesting that she writes in the perspective of your shadow, and that you kind of can't get away from your shadow. But it's almost I feel that there's a deeper meaning to it. But this is my personal thought that it's kind of like the demons or the skeletons you carry around with you um, as you walk around in this world. And I think she's kind of brought that to the reader's attention and put it into a form with a lyrical style that is quite unique and interesting. All right, and the reason I started with a poem, let's work backwards then and go to the workshop process. Well, no, let's go back to where we should. So step one, students do some pre-writing and drafting in their online journals. This is the student's poem. This is my revision requests. Okay, only the student and I can see that. Then we do an online workshop, because this is all in Zoom, where students have roles. One student is the writer, and there's a gag rule where they are not allowed to speak until after. Um, then there is the teacher, who kind of is the directing the students on how to speak about the poem. And then I handsomely, silently observe. Okay. And then the poetry workshop, um, they have their list of poetic devices that I've taught them through the class. And also in the L2 context, which is different than the L1 context, I gave them a list of questions that they can ask about the poem, and some um, scaffolding, some guidance with the feedback. And of course, the image of the feedback sandwich, where you give positive, neat feedback, something a little bit more critical, and then positive feedback again. Okay, so that's their process. And in step 3, they need to do their final revisions and copy and paste that into a document and upload it to our LMS, which is Moodle. And then finally, they do a self-assessment, a reflection about it, where they write what was really good, what could I do better, how was the workshop process, what was the writing process like. They need to think about the meta language that they're using, and some of the techniques. And finally, I do one-on-one interviews with the students at midterm and at the final, after their reflections, to speak to them about their writing and hopefully help them to get that authorial voice. Okay. Um, so very quickly, I believe that I was able to foster them to have a unique authorial voice. In their polling, 11 out of 12 answered positively that they feel they are developing a poetry style at midterm. And in the final, it was the same 11 of 12, but one person moved from yes a little to yes very much. Okay, and in the other questionnaire, 12 out of 12 answered positively that they think the workshops have improved their writing. So that is some qualitative research. I would like to provide some quantitative research, um, but I have not been able to make analyze the voice in their poems because the sample size is too small at this point, but I will do that in the future. All right, and here is my literature review. Some of the assessment that I've used came from Earl, and of course, Hanauer's Meaningful Literacy was the framework for the entire course. Um, Also, his work with voice and measuring voice and the beauty of second language writing. Um, Professor Ida at Gunma University gave me some ideas for rubrics for assessing poetry. Shohami has provided some more assessment information, and Spiro provided the reading to writing cycle. Okay, and you can see the lesson plans and all of these handouts on my website. All right, so thank you very much for joining me. You can email me here, my first and last name at gmail.com. And you can also check out my website for all of the um, handouts and other materials. So please contact me if you're interested in developing a creative writing course or with anything. All right, and please take a look at the student's work. Thank you very much.